Welcome back to the county seat. Our guest today is Governor Gary Herbert, who has joined us for a roundtable discussion on Utah's energy initiatives and imperatives. This is the governor's policy that has been a year in the process, and we've been discussing the different options that we have. Let's talk about the concerns a little bit. When I read through this, I thought, boy, the oil and gas industry are going to look at this and say, finally, we have an ally, because they've just been so riddled with problems with federal regulations and leases being pulled and taking 6 years to get permits processed. My impression was that this kind of addressed specifically the need to streamline and speed that up. But they, right out of the chutes, were concerned about environmentalist type statements that they quote say are key or buzzwords like endangered species, viewscapes, and things of that nature that have traditionally come back to haunt them as they've tried to prospect. Are they overly alarmed? Is this a couched policy that's going to hit the oil and gas industry below the knees?
Well, I don't think so. That's not the intent, but then this was not the intent of coming up with a 10-year energy plan that's only for pro-oil and gas or coal. I mean, it's a balanced approach for energy. This is not one single source. It's look at what we can do in the marketplace. Clearly, with new technologies, alternative fuels could come to the forefront. Even such things as the development of oil shale. Again, if we can get that so the technology allows it to be commercially viable. But the practical realities are we are concerned about environmental issues. Mm-hmm. We are concerned about pollution. We're concerned about the spoiling of the environment, not only land and surface interruption, but air quality issues and water quality issues. And again, we do care about views and viewscapes. But that doesn't mean that this document is the enemy to coal, oil, or natural gas, as I've mentioned already. It's part of our future, and it will be the base load for many years to come as we transition and find new technologies that allow us to come up with other alternative fuels.
Quite often people will talk in terms of the fact that there just isn't enough of this fuel. It's going to run out. But as you look at the surveys that have been done that come out in this document, there's 1.1 trillion barrels of oil in the shale. So our challenge is to get it out. I did a little quick math on that. That's meeting national demand at current levels, not state, but national demands. There's a 136-year supply of oil just in that one pocket. Well,
and that assumes, though, that the technology allows us to compete in the global marketplace. Mm-hmm. Again, and it's still more costly. And so who knows what the future will bring. I believe in technology. I think we will find solutions to problems by using technology. New research and development will, in fact, provide us with the answers to those questions.
Now, that's a really big part of this. I mean, you have a very large section about your triangle of universities and research and a marriage with industry to spur this new technology. Where did that come from?
Well, again, I think it's intuitive for us all to know that as we have new technologies, we will have more efficiencies, and we'll find alternative ways to develop energy sources. Natural gas is a perfect example with the new fracturing process, where we thought we had a finite amount of natural gas. Now we're awash in natural gas because of new technology, new ways to access natural gas that we didn't know about 20 years ago. I think we're going to find the ways to do biomass, for example, which has, I think, potential in significant ways. Oil shale you've talked about. They're doing tar sands up in Canada. We import some of that oil to Utah. So technology research, again, with the University of Utah, Utah State University, mm-hmm. Brigham Young University, we have opportunities to find new ways to do things in better, more efficient ways. And who knows what the future will bring. I'm very optimistic. We do not have an energy shortage. We may have an affordable energy shortage as we go forward over the next generation, but that's what research will help us to find. Better ways to do things with traditional fuels as well as alternative fuels and renewables.
When the environmental community took a look at this, they had some objections too, and you've addressed the ones for the oil industry.
I must be doing very well if everybody has got some concerns. So this really is a balanced approach. We irritate everybody equally.
Just a little bit. Their big concern in this is that one, that you mentioned there's an environmental impact on renewable energy specifically in this document, and that has to be taken into the picture. And they're going, wait a minute. It's so minimal compared to the others, but I'd like to address that.
Okay, well, impact means there's impact. Maybe there's a little, maybe there's a lot. It depends on the renewable. I do note that my friend Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger in California put together a 4,500 acre solar farm on the Mojave Desert that's now being challenged by environmentalists because of its environmental impact. The solar farm in the Mojave Desert. Boy, if you can't do a solar farm in the Mojave Desert, we got some real problems. Our wind farms that we have are being challenged because of the environmental impact. We have a problem with birds and windmills, and it has an impact environmentally. Not only that, but it has some aesthetics problems for people, the windmills.
I kind of personally, driving across Wyoming, I just think that's cool looking myself, but then...
Some people I think it's cool looking, but if it's on your ridge line,
yeah.
You may think it's obtrusive to the views. So again, there's environmental impacts probably for everything. We want to mitigate it as best we can in a practical way. And that's what this document, it gives us a roadmap. It's not perfect, and it is kind of a work in progress. So we'll learn as we go forward, but by golly, we ought to have a plan to move ahead on energy sustainability, energy independence for our state of Utah, and keep our costs down for energy, which gives us a competitive advantage in the marketplace, which helps our economic development and growth, not only in rural Utah, but throughout our state.
The alternative fuels in the National Energy Plan, there's a big push for this and saying that we have to shift as quickly as possible to alternative energy, and almost at the point of bankrupting traditional energies to force us to do it. But if you look at the picture, the amount of electricity being produced is, one, extremely expensive, and two, is very small. I mean, how do you address the fact that there's only 1-point-something% coming from renewables at this point?
Well, that's because it's too costly. I mean, the cost per kilowatt hour, per megawatt hour is so dramatically higher. For example, solar power, the cost is probably near 6 times more per megawatt hour than it is for coal. We have the 4th lowest cost per electrical generation per kilowatt hour in Utah in the nation, because 82% of our electrical generation comes from coal. Again, I believe in the marketplace. I believe that people will build the better mousetrap if they're given an opportunity. And clearly we'll find more efficiencies with renewable fuels. We need to let government kind of take a powder and have a level playing field creation and let them compete against each other rather than subsidizing one and penalizing the other. That's kind of the approach out of Washington. That's why I'm not a big cap and trade fan. We subsidize solar and we punish coal. I don't think we should subsidize anything. Let's have a level playing field, let them compete, let the ingenuity that comes from research and development in the marketplace, and we will find solutions to the problems that we face. I believe in the marketplace.
Do you think that an incentive approach rather than a fine approach is a better way to pull energy along rather than push it?
Yeah, I'd rather have the carrot than the stick, and I think that's better. Again, I think we need to be careful about too much incentives, because then we again unlevel the playing field. As a public, we want to have affordable energy. Nobody wants their costs to go up, and business doesn't want their costs to go up. We have businesses coming to Utah because of lower cost energy in Utah compared to, say, like California. We export energy to California, and they're paying nearly double or triple per kilowatt hour that we have here in Utah. That gives us a competitive advantage. At the same time, we as a public want clean energy. We don't want to have polluted skies. We don't have polluted waters. We want to take care of our land mass here, and that's what we're trying to do, come up with a balanced approach that addresses the practical needs we have in a practical way. And again, this 10-year plan puts us on that right roadmap to success.
Well, thank you very much. We will conclude our conversation with the governor in just a minute on Utah's energy policy as the county seat continues. Stay with us.
What are the words that describe the perfect destination? Join us May 13th and 14th at the Millard County Fairgrounds in Delta, Utah for the old school rock crawl. Jeeps, 4x4s and trucks driving over obstacles with a possibility of rollovers. Millard County, Utah. Find out what you've been searching for.
Take a look. Take a glimpse. Take a peek. You'll be surprised by what you find. Check us out at DesertPComplex.com. Our phone number is 435-843-4020. Adventure, beauty, excitement. Tooele County Parks and Recreation, bringing communities together.
Have you gone on an adventure lately? Have you explored the world? Have you really seen Utah? Join AYL at your leisure each week and see your backyard like never before. Hosts Chad Booth, Malia Bascom, Stephen Heumann, and Reagan Ledbetter open up the outdoors like never before. Catch up with adventure on AYL, Saturday nights at 11, Sunday mornings at 9 on ABC4.
The State of Utah School and Institutional Trust Lands Administration. SITLA manages 3.5 million acres of Utah lands with the express purpose of furthering the education of Utah students while promoting local industry, oil and gas, even residential development, all at the same time. Through the careful use of trust lands, we distributed more than $22 million to Utah schools last year. The State of Utah School and Institutional Trust Lands Administration, building the state's permanent school fund.